Hi, this is Carla Marie from Unschooling the Sensational Six, and I have with me my amazing husband,
It's
this
me.
guy right here,
Hi.
and I could not do what I
My name
do.
is Tom, by the way.
I could not do what I do without this guy right here. He's amazing. We've been married for 19 years, and he has been the most awesome husband and been the most amazing dad for the last 10 years of our marriage. We've been parents, so
Thanks.
he's a keeper. Pretty
Thank you.
cool guy.
Appreciate that.
But we wanted to come. Father's Day is coming up, and a lot of families have dads that are very, very supportive and are in the trenches and are doing amazing things with their kids and homeschooling. So we wanted to talk about that. So happy early Father's Day,
Thank you.
darling. But I wanted to also say happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there that are doing all kinds of amazing things with their families and supporting their wives as homeschoolers.
Hmm.
And so, but we wanted to talk about homeschooling from a dad's point of view. And I wanted to share kind of how, throughout the years we have transitioned
Yeah.
so many times and how he has been right there by my side and my number one cheerleader. So, also, disclaimer, I have a beagle next to me that's snoring. So,
Yes, our dog, Normie.
our dog Norman Bartholomew Williams is laying right next to me and he's snoring. So that's what you're listening to. But anyway, try to focus on us, not him. One of the things that I want to talk about is how we got started. Oh my goodness, because a lot of times when people start finding their flow, when people see that you're doing things, they're like, oh my God, I wish I had it together like you. You're so organized. And I'm thinking, you
Right.
have no idea.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
have no idea the real deal behind the Facebook pictures
Right.
and all of that. Um, there's a lot of work that goes into homeschooling, and every day is not amazing, and every day is not perfect,
Right.
but um,
You work
you
through
can
it.
do it. You work through it. And
Hmm.
so, we're here to talk to you about some of those things. When we first started, I, well, let's go back. Before we even became parents, I wanted to homeschool. You remember that, right?
No.
You don't?
No.
Well, maybe I thought it in my head.
Yeah. She was talking to me in her head. I never heard it.
But I always wanted to do it. And then it was like, I think like the week that my oldest daughter was supposed to start uh, kindergarten, we were across the street from one of the best elementary schools in the
Hmm.
district. And I chickened out and I sent her to school. And she spent a couple years in school in a couple different schools before we realized that, we really wanted to do something different and
Right.
provide a different kind of education for her and all of our children. So, but I tell you what, when I first started, there were no Facebook groups. There were no Google groups, or I didn't know about them anyway.
Hmm.
I felt like literally like a minnow in a sea full of sharks. Honestly, I had no idea. I didn't have any support other than him. Um, and I didn't know where to turn. I only knew one other person
Right.
that was doing it, and she shared with me the curriculum that she was using at the time, and I just bought it and thought, hey, this is all there is out there. And you know, so we spent almost 3 years
Right.
doing that. But do you remember those first couple months?
Tough.
They were tough. He would
Very tough.
come home, and what would I be doing?
Mm. What? In tears?
Yeah,
Frustrated?
frustrated.
And just not knowing if this is going to work and if I'm doing the right thing.
Right.
Hmm.
Just scared of messing up my kids, not knowing what in the world to do. I'm laughing at our dog because he's really loud tonight, louder than normal, of course, while we're doing a video. But it was just so hard.
Yeah.
And, I remember setting up a full fledged school in the basement
Huh?
with all the bells and whistles, all the posters, looked just like a classroom.
Yes.
That's
Lined
everything.
up in order. Yeah.
And I had at that time a 3-year old. that I expected to sit down at a desk while I taught the kindergarten and second grader, and it was mayhem. It was crazy, and he would come home, and I would be totally like rocking in the corner in tears. Like, I can't do this. This is crazy. How do people do this? And his answer was, because men are problem solvers. Was what?
Well, if you can't do it, send them back to school.
And I'm like, no. If that's the only alternative, I will work through it.
Now, I must say that was me putting pressure on her because I know good and well that we were going to send her back to school and that I knew that she could do it. Um, just, a little devious pressure to figure things out. That's really what that was.
Well, it worked.
Yeah. But I want to say too, we're saying what she did. Well, I was in the midst of that as well with, trying to help with a little bit of the schooling and the training. And I was frustrated just as much um, because you don't know if you're doing the right thing. You're trying to do school at home and you recognize, okay, I'm doing the same thing that I'm trying not to do.
Right. It's true.
Which we figured that out after a while, but it was touch and go, like anything new. And like you said, we didn't have much support, so we were really doing things by the seat of our pants, the best that we knew how, frustrating ourselves while frustrating our children.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you what, we spent a couple years, 3.5, almost 4 years, using that curriculum. They hated it. I hated it. He hated hearing about it.
Right.
But we didn't really know much else until I began to be more involved in line and realized that the homeschool world was so vast and that there were so many resources out there. Now it's overwhelming. You have to shut it down because there's so many resources coming at you. But then I didn't know what else was out there. So I used all I knew, and we hated it. So,
But, thank goodness to Carla's, desire to do this. She didn't give up and she kept on researching. Like she mentioned, she got online and began to be part of other communities and ask questions and see what they were doing. And it helped us begin to think differently about what we're doing.
yeah, definitely. So then came 3 more children. And then we realized, wait a second.
Yeah.
This is going to be a serious, like, boarding school situation if we don't change what we're doing. Because the only way that I would be able to, in my mind, school in a traditional sense, 6 children, it would have to be just seriously rigid. And we had already tried that, and it wasn't working. And so we were like, or should I say, I was like, how am I going to do this?
Right.
So, and I mentioned this in one of our previous videos that I had we decided to take some time off when the youngest 3 came home and just bond as a family and that kind of thing. And I think we benefited on a major level. But what we saw during that time was amazing. What we saw during that time were children independently learning and exploring and figuring things out. And I think it just kind of it hit me at that time because he was working, more outside of the home at that time. And it began to hit me like, wait a second. I can't stop learning. I can't keep them from learning. I can't force them to stop at 3 and start at 9, or I can't create an atmosphere where Monday through Friday, 9 to 3 at school, they were learning all day, every day, whether or not I initiated it or not. And so I began to look into this, like, what is this? And I started to hear words like unschooling, and I was like, these people are crazy. That's what I thought, and I'm sure a lot of you thought when you first heard the word, like, anything can't be right, right?
Right. Yeah. That was
Just
my
the
notes.
UN was enough to make you run the other way. And so I started, I gave it a chance and I started reading, and so much of it made sense. And because we were in a situation at that time where I was seeing what these people were talking about, I was like, but I'm seeing it happen in my house. I'm seeing my children learn. I'm seeing what they're gaining from this independence and how exciting they are, how excited they are about learning. So, after a lot of research and a lot of reading and prayer and a lot of asking questions and joining groups that focused on, unschooling or child-led learning or whatever you want to call it, um, I brought it to my husband.
Hmm.
What did you think about that?
Well, what she brought to me in the terms of unschooling, and I'm thinking, unschooling? What is that? That don't even sound natural. It's like, no, yeah, we need to do something different, but unschooling
It's not it.
doesn't sound like that's it. So yeah, resistant, meaning, you know, one ear open to further investigation about what this thing really was. Um, so it took some time, and it took, I would say, more so to hear the definition, what it really meant, and the results and how it operated. And then what happened was it was an aha moment for me because I believe my statement was like I did that, unschooled myself, or began to be led learning as an adult in my 30s and 40s, kind of naturally. I began to say, wow, if I've done this for myself, how much more could a child or my children gain from this early on? I got the concept because I had did it myself as an adult with unlearning some things,
Hmm.
unschooling some things, if you will, and then being led to learn other things. And so once I got the concept, past the word unschooling, it was, let's do this thing. I got it. It was an aha moment for me.
Yeah, see, I think that word really throws a lot of people off, and we're not. Don't I don't want to misrepresent ourselves or any other group of homeschoolers. We're not radical unschoolers. So let me
Hmm.
say that.
And nor are we
Um,
condemning any other homeschooling class, if you will.
right. We just know what works for us, and
Right.
so a lot of times I kind of use the word child-led learning more because it's more inclusive, and people are not as afraid of the term as they are the unschooling. But whatever you want to call yourself, whatever you're doing, whatever is working for your family,
Hmm.
keep on doing
Right.
it. Call it whatever you want. If your children are flourishing, that's what's important.
Hmm.
So it was very interesting because when I first presented that to him, it was like my wife has lost her mind and I need to bring her back.
Hmm.
But then he got to the point where he was spending a little bit more time at home
Right.
during the day, and he began to see what was happening around
Hmm.
the house um, during times when I wasn't initiating learning.
Right.
And when the kids were initiating learning and independently pursuing things on their own, and he began to see, like, whoa, look, where'd you learn that? Or where'd you pick that up? Or
Hmm.
how'd you figure that out?
They were eager on their own to learn, think, and figure things out. And they were coming to me to tell me what they were learning
Hmm.
or learning how to read. In this case, it might be a word or adding, simple addition. But the fact that they were doing it on their own and it was initiated by their own selves, yeah, again, the light bulbs really begin to pop.
Hmm. So that's when we kind of transition into a more child-led learning, I guess you can say lifestyle, because it is
Hmm.
more of a lifestyle. We literally do not like learn on certain days at certain times and in one way. Learning takes place at any time,
at all
on
times.
any day, in any number, a multitude of ways.
It is the household.
Yes,
So it's not so much that things are separate.
from learning in life.
It is integrated in who we are as a family and how we go about our day and everything that we do.
Hmm.
Every opportunity is a learning opportunity. So we really can't separate the two because our kids are still at home
Right,
and they're still learning. So
constantly.
everything is meshed in that one. You know, it's all one, should I say?
Hmm. That's true. And so I wanted to talk about dad's role
Hmm.
in homeschooling because a lot of times people assume that mom's doing all of it. And sometimes she may be doing the bulk of it. Every household is different.
Hmm.
Talk about that differences, you know.
Well, I mean, I can talk pretty much from our own experience. Really, is that one? My wife, she is doing the bulk of it. But I find ways to support it. One, I'm not just invested in it financially. I'm invested in it with a commitment emotionally,
Hmm.
uh, with support. Because one, this is my family. This is a decision that we both decided that we wanted to do.
Hmm.
Um, and so, although I'm not directly involved in the learning most of the time, well, I'm there as support. And how can I do that? Well, like we said before, homeschooling is work.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Um, and because it is your home, you don't really shut it down in the sense that you're always looking for opportunities to uh, find ways, do things that's going to help your children to learn more.
Hmm.
And so for my wife, she never turns it off. Okay. But that's
Ever.
okay because I see results of it and I like that. But I find ways that, I'm going to support her, meaning that you can't continue to push and push the schooling without having a break.
Hmm.
So
It's true.
I'll come home. She says, I'm out of here. Okay, I understand. And she'll get time to get away. Unfortunately, some of that time she goes away to do homeschooling stuff. And I've got on her
You
about
telling
that.
on me.
But the fact of the matter is that she does, I give her time to get away. Um, Again, man, we're always concerned about money, finances. Like I said, this is part of your home. That
Hmm.
has to be a part of everything that you do. Um, it might be getting baking soda from the store for an experiment. Okay, it might be going to Barnes and Noble and getting a new book for a curriculum. It might be an event to go do some strawberry picking. You'll find yourself
You
doing
mean
things.
you wouldn't do that on your own if you didn't have kids?
Probably not. Well, out of the long list of things I like to do, that would probably be down to the bottom of the priority and the desire.
But you're such a good daddy. You go
Well,
strawberry picking with
well, thank you. I like strawberries too. So
us.
there's another motive behind that. But you've got to be financially invested in it as well, where it just has to be a part of what you're doing. Because really, I don't think you can do too much um, for your children and for the experience of what they're going to gain from it. And they're not going to see it all right now, but again, it's an investment that you make because of the commitment to their lives, to their success. And one child may take a little bit more of investment financially than another child,
It's true.
and you got to be okay with that. Now, yes, we are creative with the things that we do, but I just want to say that you know this is an all-in game, and dads, you got to be all in with that. I can't separate myself from it. Now, did I try to in the beginning? Sure, I did. Because you want to kind of compartmentalize what's happening with that, but it really doesn't work because again, it is part of the household, part of the home.
It's true.
Our conversations um, in our marriage, because it's the homeschooling is about family. Um, you got to be engaged in it as well. You just can't shut down. Um, it's many things I can kind of talk about, and I don't want to go in circles with it. But it is a commitment,
Hmm.
and it is integrated into the very fiber of your home. um, the fabric of it, and you got to be okay with that.
So, what are some ways that dads can be hands on or a part of the homeschooling, other than obviously providing income for mom to be home, if
Hmm.
that's the situation? Sometimes you have two working homeschooling parents, and that's fine too. In our situation, I'm working somewhat from home, but mostly um, I'm working with the kids. So,
Well,
it's what are some ways that dads can be involved even if they're at work all
um, well, when you come home, is to be present. One thing my children like to say is, "Dad, look at what we did."
day? Hmm.
Okay, and so it may be when my children may made a stop motion video. Okay, and he wants to show you that, and he didn't do just one video; it might be five,
And he wants to show you
and he
all
wants to
five,
show me all five.
and you got to be excited.
Right, and you gotta be excited about it. So that way, the children want to show you what they're doing, and so
Hmm.
you have to say yes to be involved in it by letting them show you what they've
Hmm.
done. So that's one way I get involved in it.
One of the things recently that you've
Mhm,
done that has taken a major load off of me has taken on um, math from middle
mhm.
school up.
Right. Well, so what I've done with that is I know that for the math at this level that my children are, starting to get involved with, I can do it. There's no problem with it.
Hmm.
And so right now, Carla has a little bit of anxiety about it, and that's fine. But what I had to do was calm her down and say, I will do that.
Right.
I will take that on. Um, so we're leaving that kind of pressure.
And that is a big relief for me because I flow in a completely different vein.
Hmm.
I'm passionate about science. I love literature.
Hmm.
I love writing. I love art. I love history. I love just about everything else, and I tolerate math.
Right.
And so he's much better in that area. So
And
I just so appreciate him
and
for
let me
doing
say
that.
this: it's not that I am, some kind of mathematical finance guru. It's just that math right there, I'm confident in. I can do it, and if I can do it, why not take the pressure off of her and then take the pressure and the frustration off of my children as well?
Hmm.
Because again, if she's frustrated in the area,
Hmm.
the kids are gonna be frustrated, and then you have no learning.
Right.
And then not only that, you don't have a good experience in learning as well. And so, I've just over the years kind of forced myself to learn it, and so I can do it, and why not?
And so just to kind of clear things up, we are child-led learners.
Hmm.
Math is an area that we expose all of our children to. Early elementary ages, all of the math is living math and life application math. When they start getting into middle school and high school, we haven't done high school yet, so don't ask us about high school. But got two in middle school right now. Depending upon what direction the child is leaning toward as far as a career, we recognize what kind of math they're going to need.
Hmm.
Okay, so we have two middle schoolers right now that are like night and day as far as
Right.
career choice and talent and skill. So we differ what kind of math um, we're exposing them to
Hmm.
and what it is that we focus on with them. So
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that he took that on because it allows me to be creative in the areas that I have strengths. Um, so what if a dad is like, what if they don't agree on curriculum or a way of teaching something? What would be a way to solve something like that?
Well, I mean, I think one, you got to agree to disagree first,
Hmm.
because I will say this: if I'm not at home most of the time, I'm away working, and you're working with the kids, you have an insight on what's going to work best for either one of the children when it comes down how they're going to learn.
Hmm.
And quite frankly, I just got to get in line with that because it may be how I learned, and that's okay.
Hmm.
And you got to be okay with that. And sometimes, when this is how I look at things. It's tough to have, a strong input if you're not hands on. And if a person who is hands on more than you are, you've got to be open to follow or take that lead as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just face it. You know, from all the families that I know that homeschooling, the mother, if it's a two-parent household, the mother, the wife, is the one that's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I'm absent from it, not that we don't have conversations about it, but like anything, you've got to let the person who knows what they're doing, who is experiencing it, who has an insight, got to let them roll with it. Mm-hmm. And my wife and I communicate quite often anyway, so it's not an issue of me being blindsided. I trust in what she's doing, and there's evidence of how well she's doing because I see what's happening with the kids.
And that's so exciting because, like I said before, we're child-led learners, and so we do expose all of our children to math, and we pay attention to what direction they're going in their life and what they may need in that area. But all other topics are passion-led, interest-led, and they are flourishing. Mm-hmm. And we both see that, and it is so incredibly exciting. And I'm just so thankful for his encouragement throughout the years, for all the transitions that we've made.
And we've made a few.
We've made quite a few. Mm-hmm. Life happening around us, and really, when I feel like I am losing it, he is just always there to hold me up and encourage me and give me perspective. And I think that's very important for dads.
And what I think is important for the husband to step up to the plate. Let's not have your wife frustrated and about needing to do something and fix something, and then you're not engaged in it.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is a commitment between the both of you. Again, if you're a two-parent household, then you got to step up to the plate at times. And when you step up, you don't know when you may have to step back down. You might be there for a moment, but be there because again, this is the house. This is family that we're talking about. Yes, we're talking about homeschooling, child-led learning, and all this takes place in the home. But again, it is so integrated in who we are as a family, you can't separate the two.
Right.
So stepping up to the plate, it helps. It helps our marriage relationship because she sees I'm supporting them.
Absolutely.
The kids see me stepping in, and again, the kids might like that because it's different. Mm-hmm. Okay, Dad's involved in it.
And it's fun. They love it when he gets to go with us on some of our field trips, like mm-hmm. the berry picking. Yeah. But also, I think we did a chocolate factory. We did a manufacturing plant. Mm-hmm. So having Dad involved in those ways, he may not be able to step in and do math or a subject or anything, but can he do Bible study on the weekend?
I'll give you an example. We talked about doing the manufacturing plant. Mm-hmm. Well, I had someone I know that actually owns a manufacturing company here in our city. I asked him, I said, hey, our children are homeschooled, and I like to expose them to business and things that are happening in our city. Do you mind if we could come by and tour your plant? So again, as a dad, now again, I had an idea, so I ran with that. Mm-hmm. Other things that I've done is that I've brought home books.
Lots of books.
Because again,
now I need him to bring home bookshelves. Because I'm running out of room.
That's my contribution where I can to my involvement to learn with my children.
Yes.
So again, it's just being creative and being innovative, if you will, to see the opportunity, and just kind of just do it.
And I think one of the things you said earlier is so incredibly important: being present. Mm-hmm. In whatever way you possibly can be. Yes, you may work 60 to 80 hours a week, but where can you be present? Yes, you might be tired when you get home, but your children need you, and those memories that you make with them are priceless. Really.
I'm just thinking about, we're talking about, the homeschooling and child-led learning, and we're talking about, I'll just say curriculum. Reading, math, art, history, social science, things of that nature. But how I get involved as well as is just things around the home, which could be fixing my children's bike.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And getting them
how does
involved.
that have to? What does that have to do with homeschooling, child-led learning? Well, a couple of my children, they have a job where they take care of the neighbor's pet, and they get paid for it. Nothing outstanding, but they're learning how to earn money.
Mm-hmm.
They have
And be
bikes.
responsible.
Yep, you're responsible. So they have bikes. And so they got flats with their bikes. And I said, well, okay, here's a lesson to learn about how to take care of your things. And so we went to the bike shop to buy inner tubes for their bikes, and they spent their own money.
Right.
And when they begin to spend their money, they recognize I don't like spending money because I have less than I had before.
Right.
So there comes lessons about work, responsibility, saving,
Value.
spending, and valuing your things such as your bike.
And then the life skills that came in when you came home and actually taught them how to
Right.
repair the bike.
And then I showed them how to take off the tire and and insert the inner tube.
Mm-hmm.
Small things, okay? But
you also get very creative in the kitchen, and he involves them. He involves them in the kitchen sometimes more than I do.
Oh, yeah.
But they love it, and he gives them opportunities to really get involved and get
Yeah.
their hands in the cooking process.
And that's part of who I am. So, I'll give you an example. Growing up, my dad liked to cook in the kitchen. He used to watch the older um, cooking shows that grew, they were around in the 70s. And I won't mention those names because I'm gonna tell you how old I am. But the point is that I remember my dad being in the kitchen and being creative. So a part of that is with me. And so I will get in the kitchen and I'll just come up with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
the kids love
they
it.
like that because they'll spend time watching some of the now up to date cooking shows, and they'll see me doing a little bit what they saw on television,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're engaged in that, and they like the outcome. And so there's ways that you can just be involved, and they're learning. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't recognize I was learning from my dad 40 years ago.
Right.
But now all those skills have come to use, mm-hmm. not only for us but for their learning. So right. Again, we can talk endlessly about that, but there's ways to get involved, just casually.
There's so many ways for dads to be part of the homeschooling process, even if you're not working from home. You have some dads that do work from home, mm-hmm. and so it makes it easier to be present. But you can be present in so many ways, and so we just want to encourage you. And encourage the moms to keep dad involved, mm-hmm. keep him in the loop, give him opportunities to be involved. No, he's not going to do things the way you are. He may even teach a math lesson different than you, but did the kids get it? Right. And that's all that matters. So a lot of times as moms, we get a little possessive over our territory, and we want mm-hmm. dad to do everything the way that we do them. That's just not going to happen. He's a different person with different experiences. And but your kids need that. They need different perspectives and to learn things in different ways. And you just have to let go and let dad be dad and allow him to participate mm-hmm. in, maybe he can't participate in actual lessons. Again, we don't do structured lessons outside of math. And so right. life is a little different in our household. But if you're doing, traditional homeschooling and you have curriculum and things of that nature, maybe he can't do that. Maybe his job doesn't allow for it, your lifestyle, whatever the case is. Every family's different. But there's something that he can do. Encourage that. Brainstorm together. What is it that he can do? So I'd like to ask you before we end, mm-hmm. what is your favorite part about this homeschooling journey?
Well, for us, what I like about it, I like the aspect of the title of child-led learning.
Yes.
I'm by nature and have always been kind of an unconventional person. Mm-hmm. I didn't
That's
want
why
to do the norm. I was always up for an experience, something new, and that's how I learned. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that our kids are exposed to a lot of different things at such a young age, where their world is broad mm-hmm. and it's not narrow. and we foster that environment. And so the kids want to do big things because their world is big.
Right.
Their
That's true.
experiences are big. Um, and I don't think we have a child that thinks in their mind there is no limit.
Right.
And there really isn't.
And we try to foster that kind of
Exactly.
environment and way of thinking
To
too.
what they can do. Now, of course, and let me say this as well. You know, there are parameters that we have in our home.
Absolutely.
So this is not a situation where it's without a sense of boundaries. There are, but there's freedom in those boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
which makes things experiences limitless,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I like about the kids. And I'm just looking forward to them teaching me, and which they're doing right now.
Absolutely.
I know so much more about World War II right now from my 9-year-old son.
Yes.
You know that it's amazing. Um, and, I have an older son that's full of facts,
Yes.
and he's kind of like me in that
Daily.
aspect. He's just full of facts and information, um, and it just comes out. A daughter who loves to read and write, and we foster that. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I'm just looking forward to more experiences, them maturing, and more opportunities for them to become who they are, um, with a sense of purpose and expectation in their life.
Mm-hmm.
For us, it's been the greatest thing. We finally figured it out.
Yes.
It
Took
took
us
a
a
moment,
while.
but we finally figured it out.
What works for us?
What works for us, and it's worked.
Yes, it
It's
is.
worked, but the fruit of what the kids are doing, is you can't put a price on
Right. I'm very, very, very thankful for the support that he has given me all over these years, and like I said, all the transitions that we've been through.
it.
And again, like you said, it is work. Homeschooling, period, is work. When you're doing kind of a child-led learning thing or living that lifestyle, so to speak, you have 6 different children on 6 different paths,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be exhausting to keep up with that versus teaching everybody from one book at one time. We just don't do that. And so, yes, I'm all over the place, but they're benefiting from it. And so, if I'm exhausted at the end of the day, I'm exhausted at the end of the day. But I tell you what, I am sure excited about seeing the adults that they become.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because they're pretty awesome now. So I'm pretty excited about seeing where this all will lead, in their future.
Yeah.
So just wanted to encourage parents, to work together
Yeah. Work together.
to do this and to make sure that dads know there's countless ways that you can be involved in homeschooling. It doesn't have to be all your wife. Some dads may feel like they feel left out, that they can't go on field trips or can't do this, but there is something that you can do to be present in the lives and in the learning of your children.
And quite frankly, you might be doing things already and don't even realize it.
Right, that's true.
So consider those
So
things.
do more of it, continue doing what you're doing. But we want to say again, happy Father's Day to all of the
Father's Day,
dads.
yes.
Keep up the good work, keep supporting mom and fostering that learning environment in your home. And we pray that your family will find your thing and be excited about learning just like we have found ours, and we're excited about learning as well. So thank you for watching, and we hope that this video was a blessing to you. Good night.
Good night.